It's Big
Who's in the World Wide Web? They call the internet. With different types of social media. Store the information sort of like encyclopedia.
Hey, what is up, you guys, and welcome to another awesome episode of Big Marv's Network. Tonight on the show, we have Marco Ankermann joining us. Now, Marco is a direct response copywriter who helps you craft the perfect message to speak to your audience, because everybody knows the key to marketing is the right message to the right person at the right time. So Marco helps you craft those messages so the right messages are going out every single time. Marco, welcome to the show tonight, man. How you doing?
Thank you, man. Thank you. That's awesome too. Pleasure to be here. It's always about the right message going out to the right people and figuring out like what to talk to the right people to make them read the copy and then also buy if it's a good fit for them.
So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into direct response copywriting.
Sure. So everything begins probably like around a year ago. I was in high school still here in Germany, and I found out about like the whole internet marketing thing online. I viewed an ad from Dan Lok. Actually, he was the first one targeting me, like a newbie in the space, on telling me how to make money online. And since I was still in high school, I clicked, but I didn't like fully commit to it at first. I just like thought it would be a cool idea if I could do this. So I thought I postponed it until I finished high school. So since I finished high school, I always worked on like joining his course. His course was high income copywriting, how to become a high income copywriter, because you always teach that there are two skills you need to learn when you start in business online. This is one is copywriting, and the other one is closing, so sales. And right now I would totally agree, like those two are pretty much of like the best skills you can learn in the beginning to start, because give you a lot of basics on marketing with copywriting. And closing of course is always important. Communication, make sure you can communicate with the right people. So I went through his course. It was amazing. It teach me a lot about like the niche we were in here, the space, how to make money online, all the stuffs, all the scams that are out there. In the beginning I follow a lot of other people that always try to persuade me to take their courses, because I didn't know, like, you have to be careful to whom you trust and which courses you take, because otherwise you just spend a lot of money but don't get anything out of all the courses. So with this course, basically I just learned the basics of copywriting. So how to write, what to practice every day, what to do to make sure that you get your first writing gig. And after the course, I went out and tried it on my own, so freelancing, which was probably like around the beginning of the year. And I just went out, like I had no plan what to do. So I went out and tried to get my first writing gig, which was, first of all, I tried to do it on like Upwork and all those freelance sites, which probably is it's a good idea at the beginning, but you don't get very good paid. Very good paid jobs. So my first job was like probably like $19 writing a landing page, which was good for me because I knew like, okay, cool, that this can really make me money. This can really help me out. So I did it. I was glad I had this client. But then after that, it was very hard to get new clients, and I just hated the process of finding new clients, which is why when I had the chance to get to an event, to a live event in Vegas, in February. I just took it. I just went for it and flew to Vegas from here from Germany. I've never been to the US before, so it was a pretty good experience for me. I liked it a lot.
What
Uh,
event was it for in Vegas? Was it for 10X Con?
Now it was an event from Denlock, pretty
Okay.
small, like 150 people somewhat. But I think it was good for me because I just tried to connect with a lot of people and just try to get one or two clients from that event. Um, and which actually happened because at the event I found two clients. So the event and all the course before actually paid for themselves. So I got an ROI on all that stuff right away.
Don't you love
And
how that works out?
mhm, again, sorry.
As I said, don't you love how that works out? You know, like you
Yeah,
invest in yourself, you invest in a course or a coach, and then you learn something or get something from that experience that, you know, doubles or triples. Sometimes 10x is what you put into it in the first place.
yeah, it's amazing. I like. I wasn't thinking it would be that way because I was a bit skeptical of getting like copywriting clients at that time because it was so hard for me to get the first client on like all those freelance sites, which I don't think is the best way to start copywriting. Um, but then at the event, I got the first two clients. I got my first two like projects that are more long term, and they were very in depth. I was writing Facebook ad copy, I was writing emails, I was writing landing pages and sales pages. So everything I could do as a copywriter, I was doing it there, which was pretty amazing for me just to get the experience. And from there, I just went on trying to try my luck on Facebook, and I tried to build up my network with Facebook, and I tried to start with organic posting, which worked out pretty well. I got a lot of clients out of those first two big clients in the beginning because I really tried to do Facebook marketing, organic marketing, direct outreach, cold emailing, and that worked out pretty well. So after like 2, 3, 4 weeks, I got consistent clients every day, every week, every month, and that was amazing. Um, yeah, and right now it's going pretty well. I have a lot of projects going on right now, but I still use the same methods to get the clients. So like just reaching out to people. What I always do is I always try to provide value up front. One of the things I do is when I do direct outreach, I watch their profile, see what kind of funnel they have, and try to give feedback on a video or something, and ask them to send over their video to give them feedback on their funnel. So I don't just like reach out and have nothing in my hands to provide value for. And this works out pretty well. Like 50-70% of the people are interested, and I get them on the phone after that. And like all the normal barriers are down when you do this, because when you provide value up front, people naturally want to give back. Yeah, so basically that's it from my journey. Right now I'm just working, getting experience, building my portfolio, and trying to do as many cool projects as possible.
Now, I can vouch for his method of outreach because that's actually how we met. He reached out to me. He was telling me how he's a direct response copywriter, and he actually critiqued one of my funnels. And me being a copywriter myself, like I really took in his feedback, and now he's gonna be working on a project for me, maybe testing the waters to join the big Marv team uh, permanently. So like he is right in the sense that he reaches out, he gets to know you a little bit first, finds out what your needs are, and then he gives value by going through your funnel or your email sequence and let you know where you can make adjustments to potentially find extra, profits or increase conversions. I have a question. Before you got into it, so I know you said you saw a Dan Lok ad, and that's how you discovered Dan Lok, just consuming his content. I mean, that's how I discovered Dan Lok, was I saw the ad of him. I think he was in the back of a Rolls Royce or some limo or some promoting his new book, and like that's how I discovered him, as I ordered his book. And I mean, he's a brilliant mind, but like, were you looking to start, an online business? Like, did you have a passion for writing at all, or did you just kind of try it because you took Dan's course and you wound up falling in love with it? Like, what kind of pushed you in that direction in the first place?
That's a pretty good question. So even before I watched this Dan Lok ad and got into the internet marketing space, I always had this like passion to not go into the corporate world after I finished high school, and I didn't like the idea of studying and then joining the 9 to 5, because I always like it always seemed not the best idea I could do after I finished my high school degree. So like basically I was looking for something that was making me money besides my 9 to 5, and that's actually working. So that's actually a funny story, because I already tried to be like sort of a freelancer before, which was with pretty young. I was like 14, 15 years old. I tried to sell motion graphics to YouTubers, which was kind of weird. Like I was doing intros for people's, designing them and editing them and then sending them out. And I tried to sell this, which didn't work out pretty well, but it was kind of funny because it was the first time I tried to sell my own service to somebody else. And I end up just giving it away for free, which wasn't the best idea because it was costing me like a lot of hours to finish one of those intros and then sending it out to the people. But this was my first experience like doing freelance or exchanging my time for money, and especially my expertise for money and not just my time, because it wasn't important how long I took for this intro. It was just important that I get the result done. And after that, I always thought this would be one thing I want to do after high school. But I never knew what exactly I wanted to do, because designing was not the best thing. I knew it. I was average. I was not good and was not my passion. So I didn't want to do it. But later on, I found out that writing in English um, was I was naturally better in writing in English than writing in German, and I don't know why, but it felt more natural to me. Um, and while like writing in English and trying to connect to people and trying to find something that will suit me better than going to the 9 to 5, I was on Instagram probably, and then Danlog's ad popped up because I was searching some stuff about like internet not marketing, but how to make money online. And I just probably like went on different pages with his pixels on, and I just got the ad. Um, and from that, I followed him for a while because I liked his content. I read his daily emails. I did his masterclass and webinars and all that stuff. And basically, he told me that, okay, here are the two things you can do when you want to succeed succeed in an online space, you can either do copywriting or you can do closing. And I didn't know like that copywriting was a big thing there back then, but I thought like, okay, I'm pretty good in writing in English, so I just try copywriting, and I found out it's even more my passion to write, and really like try to convey a certain point with my words, and sell something with my words, because copywriting is not nothing else than like just selling in print. Um, and I found out like this whole copywriting and psychology thing was very interesting. I found it very interesting, especially like what's behind the prospect, the psychology, the persuasion, and what you need to know to make copy work, the structure. And yeah, I became really obsessed with all that stuff, and and also self-development like was big in the how to make money online space, or like just generally in the internet marketing space, to constantly develop yourself, your mindset. And this became kind of my side passion while studying like psychology and persuasion for copy. I also read a lot of like those classic self-help books, personal development books, and in every program I took, was always a mindset part, which I pretty liked. Like those kind of things combined gave me the ability to just grow permanently, and grow to where I am today and get the clients, and stay positive if nothing's working, and stay productive if everything's working. So yeah, that's kind of how I came into copywriting.
I will say that, copywriting has been the number one game changer for me. 2 years ago, I started studying under Cole Van D. He's the author of, the 8-Figure Secrets of a Copywriter. He's the Wolf of Copyright, Wolf of Copywriting. I think I butchered the title of that book, but it's similar to that. If you go to copywritingbook.net, you can actually see what the book's about. But essentially, after I started learning how to craft my message and craft the right message, and build my offers and write sales pages and emails that I convert, like now my highest converting email sequence is 100 days long, and most people can't write an email sequence that extends out that far and maintain 40 to 60% open rate and people clicking through and consuming the content. So it's like learning how to craft that message has been like the number one most profitable thing. And I don't even sell copywriting services. I just learned it, for myself. Like when I was doing done for you funnels, like I would help write a lot of the copy, but it was typically just updating drafts that people gave me. It was never a service that I just sold by itself. But it's amazing how you can change like one sentence or a headline, and it will completely change the results that you get on the page. And you only do that once you understand, like you said, that it's a little bit of psychology that goes into it too. But because humans are so predictable, you can predict what they're going to do next or what they're going to want to consume next. So as long as you look at your message when you're crafting it and think of it from your end user's perspective, you should be all right. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's incredible like how small things like a headline or a subject line can change so much in copy, and can really make the difference when it comes to selling. I mean, in terms of subject lines, it's probably like in email marketing is probably so important. It's probably the 80-20 of emails. Like if your subject line is not on point and tested and proven that it works, then everything else can be good or bad. It doesn't matter, because the email won't get read anyway. And so I think like really making sure you're always like everything that's above your headline, your subject lines, in Facebook organic, it's even like your first 3 lines you post when you post a organic post, to make sure that those 3 lines are on point and make sure that the reader wants to read more, because otherwise your whole copy can be good or bad. It doesn't matter because people won't read it. So that's what I learned previously in one of the trainings I went over, that like the headline is so important, and you really need to make sure that this works, and you just need to test it, because you never know. That's also one thing, sorry that I switch around, but that's a very important thing I learned. Assuming that you think that it's going to work but you don't know is a very dangerous thing, because you never know what the customer wants until you test it, because you're not the customer or you're not the prospect. And sometimes you think something works but it doesn't, and when you don't test it, you never know. Like, it's all about testing and seeing how the audience responds to your message. I think that's also a huge thing you probably do a lot when sending out to your list, is you test it a lot, especially with your 100-day email sequence. You probably tested every kind of subject line and every email,
Yeah.
to make sure you get the best subject lines, the best emails that's performing and that gets read every now and then.
Yeah, every 100 people that I put through my email sequence, I go through, look at the open and click-through rates, and modify the emails that are the lowest. And that's how I've dialed in a 100-day sequence that has a 60% open rate, because I've spent the last 18 months just testing and dialing. But I tell people is like, everything sounds great on paper, everything sounds great in theory, but people lie and numbers don't, so I'm always testing, I'm always trying new strategies, like I'm always automating things differently, and dialing in funnels. I do it with my funnels, I do it with the ads, and I do it with my email marketing. I'm always testing, because the subject line, like he said, if your subject line is not on point, the email's not going to get read anyway. So it doesn't matter how good the email is, if the subject line doesn't relate, or if it's not good, they're not going to open it. I mean, a couple tips for the subject lines is, like, you just want to try to keep it 8 words or less. Don't use too many emojis. Like, you can use some emojis, and make sure you always define a pre-header text. So what a pre-header text is, like when you get a notification on your phone, like for an email. Let me see if I have any pending notifications. So you can see, like, you can see the subject line, and then you see the little block of text underneath the subject line. That's the pre-header text. That's the first 180 characters that loaded the email. Some autoresponders, they actually let you define pre-header text. So you would treat your pre-header text like you would a subhead line. So your subject line is the headline. That's what's going to make them open the email. And then the pre-header text is the subhead line. That's the hook that's going to get them to completely open and consume the content. Now, the rest of the email is on you, but without that subject and pre-header dialed in, they're not going to read the rest of the email anyway. And that's why it's important to test.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's always important to make sure you talk, you directly talk to your customer in those two things, in either the subject line or the pre-header, just the pre-header. Because when you talk directly, I mean, what I mean by that is, like, talking directly to one of their pain points, and how you will solve something for them in this email, so they get a reason, not only a reason, but also they get hooked to click. And also use a little bit of not a little bit, but much curiosity or story to intrigue them and make them click. because like the best subject lines I ever saw was either very curiosity heavy, like something where that catches my eyes directly, or something that's very relevant for me. Um, for example, in the beginning of my copyright career, every time I got emails for about a copy and how to get clients, I was clicking directly because it was a current pain I was going through, like how do I get clients. So I was clicking on everything that was talking about this. So in this stage, um, like everybody that was talking about how to get clients had caught my eye with that, which shows me that it's very important to market to the right audience, because when you have the right audience and they have a current problem that you can solve and you just address it, it's already intriguing for them, because they see, okay, this is what I'm facing right now and here's the solution, so let's see what he got. I mean, there's nothing magical behind that. It's just to solve a urgent problem of the right people, and that's just kind of a secret, because that makes your email automatically intriguing and makes it get read and clicked if they like your content. I mean, that's probably the basic thing behind all that, getting the right people in your email list, or in front of your sales pages, or whatever type of copy you write. Because when you have the right people, there's always going to be a demand.
I have noticed that my conversions have drastically increased once I started being more and more direct. So one of my mentors that I follow is Billy Jean, and he's where I first started learning some of my core messaging around my Big Marv brand. And I used to say, I build websites for people, right? Which sounds great and everything, but it doesn't, really define what I do, right? So if I say I build high converting sales pages that turn your fans into paying customers, now I'm very direct about who I'm working for and who I'm working with. And that's what's driven conversions for me, because now I've taken out the guesswork. Right now they know the exact result they're going to get from working with me, versus just building, a standard website.
Yeah, that's the same I found out on the hard way, because I was always calling myself like the name of the course I was going through, the basic course. It was called High Income Copywriter from Dan Lok. But I mean, it doesn't position yourself to name yourself high income copywriter, because there's probably like um, thousands of other copywriters do the same. So what I've found, like I tried a lot of different things to call myself, to really separate myself and my services from anybody else. But in the end, I'm still in the testing phase how I call myself. But right now, I'm just calling myself, like, I'm referring to just writing better copy than they have right now, and making sure I beat controls. So like my current promise is kind of like, let me beat your control by 10% or your money back, which is, I think, a pretty like no risk promise, because they won't lose anything if the copy doesn't convert, which I think is always a big approach when you go in as a copywriter, to make sure you're not trying to ask them for to take on all the risk. Instead, you need to take a lot of the risk yourself, because it just doesn't work that way, that you can ask for 5K upfront and they will gladly pay you, when you don't have a proven, like, really long track record of results. And even then, it's always a critical thing, and it's always hard to make them believe that you can actually deliver. So what I like to do is I always like to include a guarantee. It doesn't always has to be a like 100% money back guarantee, but sometimes it's okay, I will work as long as it should convert. So I will work, I would try to work, even though I finished the copy, I will still work with you to make sure it actually converts. And if it's not converting, I will go in, I will rewrite copy, I will re-edit some stuff, I will tweak, I will optimize, and if I have to, I will rewrite copy, just to give them security that the work you do is actually converting. And even if it's not converting, that you come in and do the work to make it convert, because sometimes your copy can flop because of you don't know the market, you never tested it, but after testing it you always can see, okay, this works well, this not, so let's just use all of this and nothing of the other way. But yeah, I think that's a pretty important thing to have when you start as a copywriter, or just any other service as well. You just need to make sure you take on major most of the risk, just to lift the heavy weights, instead of just saying they have to pay everything up front and you don't give them any guarantee that it's going to work, because it feels like they take all of the risk, and business owners don't like to take the risk. So I found that very helpful for me.
I mean, it's a good policy to live by. I mean, I had to do the same thing while I was building social proof, like, and then all of my students, I encourage them to do the same. You know, like when you're first starting out, uh, you can't just come out the gate charging, what a 10-year veteran charges, right? Like you got to prove that your process works. Like everything is theory until you have numbers behind it. And then once you get consistent numbers behind it, then, you'll naturally raise your price because you're going to be more in demand, right? And then once you're more in demand, you have less time to give, and then that makes your time more valuable, and so now you can charge higher rates. So it just happens naturally from you being consistent and consistently providing value to your clients or students, or whatever you do. If you sell a product, just making sure that you're there to support them and any troubles they may have with your product or service. So where do you see yourself, 5 years from now?
5 years from now, that's a pretty good question, because I achieved a lot. Like a lot of stuff changed over the last year, or like probably a couple of months, so rapidly that like I realize right now, I'm realizing like how much things you can actually do in a certain amount of time, which is probably like around like 1 year since I started getting into the space. So I never thought it's possible to gain that much momentum in 1 year of starting out. So that was incredible experience for me. So when I look at this in 5 years, I probably see myself as launching a own product of mine, because I think that's like the ultimate goal of writing copy. That sometime when you're really good, you write a good offer for yourself, and just help a lot of people. Even like it doesn't have to be in the BizOp niche. It can also be like self-help. Can even be like health or fitness or supplements, or you create your own supplement. It doesn't matter like which kind of niche it is. But just when you're a copywriter, you have the skill of selling with your words. So I think the ultimate goal for me is to use this skill to write an own offer of mine, because that's also where the big bucks are. Because of course you can get high paying freelance gigs, but when you're writing for your own product, you get everything, and you really put in like 110% because you're paying the money to launch it. Which is also a thing I think in copywriting, that when you write for other people, a lot of copywriters tend to not give 100% because it's not their money they are spending on ads to get traffic, or on other traffic sources to get people on the page. But when you, on the other hand, when you write your own product and your own for your own launch, you will give like 110% because you don't want to waste any of your own money and also time. So you want to make this perfect. So 5 years from now, I probably see myself launching my own kind of business, try to do something that's scalable. I can scale with copy, so probably not like one-on-one done for you work, because that's definitely not scalable. Maybe I do my own coaching program, teaching other copywriters to get clients or something. But I'm really not sure. I'm just seeing myself as like my own product owner or coaching program owner or something, that's the next step to done for you.
I mean, that was the same transition for me. Like when I started, it was a done for you service, and I would build complete funnels and automations, and I actually just collapsed my service agency 4 months ago or 3 months ago, and stopped building funnels and automation. So now I 100% just coach. I have a select handful of clients that I still do some of the tech work, because I mean, I do enjoy the tech work. I just don't enjoy doing it as a service agency. You know, I enjoy coaching more. I can make a bigger impact with coaching because I can teach at scale. I can do group coaching. I can have several students at once. I can do events, and I can teach a lot of people my strategy. And then there's so many experts and other freelancers out there. Like, I don't have to build the funnels. I've networked with other people. So now I have a network of copywriters and funnel designers and funnel builders and ad guys. And essentially I'll bring coaching students in if they need one of these services done. I've networked with experts already. Like, that's one of the benefits of this show, Big Marv's Network, is networking with other experts that are highly skilled. So whenever I do have students that need, an expert, maybe they watch one of these episodes and they say, oh, Marco's a copywriter. I need a copywriter. Let me reach out to him. Yeah. So, I mean, I can easily see that being the direction that you go, because just watching like the Loom video that you made for me, where you're walking me through the funnel and why you would change things, because you not only said I would change the headline, but you said I would change the headline and here's why. Right? I would change this section and here's why. It's whenever you can define the why, that's what makes you a good leader, a good coach, because now you can break it down to someone else to teach them a skill so they can succeed themselves.
That's a good point. I think like I do really enjoy making these videos for people. So I think maybe this is something I would go for in the future, in the near future. But as you said, like when you really know the depth behind copy, and you not just know like the basics of, okay, you need to change the headline, you need to change this because this is not good, but you know the why behind this. As soon as you know this and you really got the experience and dial in your offer and you have enough clients, I think then, in my opinion, then you're allowed to coach, because otherwise I think it's you're not allowed to coach something that you never even did before on your own. I don't like people that go straight in as coaches without doing it themselves before, but trying to coach it, because I think there's always a big thing, because you can realize a good coach and a bad coach And a bad coach is often the guy that doesn't know the why behind something, doesn't know why it's working. They just say you to do this and that, but they don't tell you why. And a good coach is just giving you a mind switch of, okay, you need to think about this like in that way and not in this way. So approach this in another way, and then you will get the hang of it. A good coach is like coaching you. That's not giving you all the results up front. They they um, they help you with the mind switch, so you can find it out yourself. Because when you find it out yourself, you learn the most. And this is, I think that's pretty much the reason like why there are so many bad coaches out there, because they never did it actually themselves.
Yeah, they just bought a course or something and they're just regurgitating the instructions that they were just taught, but they haven't actually went through the paces personally. But that's also one of the reasons I have 100-day blueprint as my lead magnet. It's to filter out the people that aren't going to put in the work, or that are just looking for an easy button. I wanted to create a message and offer that's going to talk directly to my demographic. And that 100-day blueprint, the reason it converts so well is because it would take the time to walk them through step by step over the course of 100 days, but it's a 100-day journey, right? So I think uh, when you isolate and you break down the why over that, that's also why it takes 100 days, because I'm breaking down, like, not only do this, but do this, and here's why you want to do this, and here's some examples of how you can do this. And it's important to take that full journey. So that's one of the things I've noticed. I've spent probably $60,000 on different coaches and mentors and courses, and I've had some bad courses, I've had some bad coaches, but I've had some really great courses and great coaches. That's why I'll always have coaches, probably for the rest of my life, just because they've helped change my life so much. But I've had courses where I'm just like, man, what do they do? Copy and paste this from somewhere. I've purchased courses where it was like a bootleg version of somebody else's course. They just cut the person's face out of it. And then, but I've also had coaches and mentors that could break it down to me, like Billy Jean. That's why I gravitate to him so much, or Russell Brunson. That's why I follow his content. But then there's guys like Joe Kasherba. That's somebody I wasted $1,500 on, and his course didn't break down anything. It was just basics of WordPress. Go charge people $10,000. You're gonna succeed. I'm like, no, like, nobody's gonna. What the fuck? Like, and that was like the course, but he was able to get me because I was just trying to look for the easy button, right? And that's essentially what his course was trying to offer, was how to charge clients $10,000 for a $1,000 WordPress site or something along those lines. And I was like, yeah, I'm tired of building $1,000 websites. I'd totally build these websites for $10,000. And so I purchased this course for $1,500, and like, it was like, here's how to install WordPress. Now pick a theme. Now pick a template. Now go charge them $10,000. Like, what the fuck? And
Yeah.
so, needless to say, I didn't sell any $10,000 websites from that course. Now, since then, I have sold $10,000 funnels and websites, but that's because now I have a proven process where I can build you an e-com store with email sequences that are going to make you way more than $10,000. But after I took that course from Joe Kasherba, yeah, no, I was not knowledgeable enough to just go charge people $10,000 for a WordPress template.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. Like, a lot of courses try to convey the image of, okay, here's the shortcut, but I think there is no shortcut in this space. you can fast track your process by taking courses and all that stuff and learning from mentors, but you always have to put in the work, and there's no way around it. And I found it out on the hard way. I always try to like take the shortcut, take the easy route, take the easiest way to charge high prices, but it's just not realistic for a new copywriter to get into the game and charging 10K per sales letter without having any experience, because it doesn't make sense. It's just, you can charge less than you provide the value. You can do it once, but after that, you won't do it any further because people are talking. And that's always the thing. Like, you always need to make sure that you're providing at least double the value you charge. Like, I would even say you need to provide at least like 5 times the value you charge, because then you really can show the people that you're talking to, okay, here's what you get, and here's the discounted price at that price you get it. Because if you charge them 1K and you make them 1K, it's not a good deal for them, because they just can do nothing and it will be the same. But if you make them 5K and you charge 1K, or if you make them 10K and you charge 5K, it's a pretty good deal for them. And when you do 5 times the value, it's an even better deal. You can even charge 10K if you can make them 50K. That's a no-brainer if you put it that way. But you always need to make sure that you actually deliver the results and you have a guarantee or something that backs it up and takes the risk. But like you said, there is no shortcut. There's just, you can just fast track the process, but you still have to put in the work and deliver the value. Otherwise, you won't charge anything near high prices.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that's the perfect way to put it too, because I always try to make that differentiation. Is like, buying, paying for a course or a coach, it's not necessarily a shortcut, but what it is it helps get you there faster, because whenever you get to those roadblocks, because your coach or your mentor has been in that position before, they can help guide you, so you're not spinning your wheels trying to figure it out. Like when we built the 100-day blueprint, that took 9 months of putting people through the process and testing it and dialing it in, and then we launched it to the public. And then that was to dial in a 100-day process. And then I've spent the last 18 months dialing it in even further. So yeah, it's a 100-day process, but a lot of people don't see like the 9 months of work it took to dial in that 100-day process. So yeah, when you get the 100-day blueprint, you still have to put in 100 days of work, but what you don't have to put in is that 9 months of work that I put in to figure it out in the first place. Right. So I think that's the biggest difference. Is it's like you still have to put in the work to get the results, but now you have a map, right? It's like essentially giving yourself a GPS. Like you want to get here. Like, let's say your goal is to make 10 grand a month, right? Like I think that's probably the most common freelancer goal when people start out as a freelancer, is they just want to get to 10K a month. Because like that's what it was for me, is like, because I was leaving a Microsoft job, so it's like I need to get to 10K a month so I can replace that income. And so I wrote everything about like how to get to that first 10K, right? So once you figure out that process of just getting to 10K easily, now you can rinse and repeat that. So rather than, like, it took me 5 months to finally figure it out and break through the 10K barrier, but now I can teach people how to do it in less than 3 months, because now I've done it so much. Right? So you just have to figure out the process, and the courses and mentors, what they do is they show you the roadmap, they show you the GPS. You say, my goal is to get to 10K a month. Yeah, you can go figure that out and keep testing offers and like fumble your way through it, reading books and tutorials. Or you can find somebody that's made 10K a month as a freelancer and say, how did you do it? And look at the roadmap and follow the directions. You still have to put in the work to get there, but hey, at least you have some directions now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more of a like fast track, and it's more about avoiding unnecessary mistakes that other people have done in the past before, so they can like literally, like you said, like a GPS, they can guide you through. It's kind of like a labyrinth. I don't know, labyrinth. It's called labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
They guide you through the right ways, and you don't have to go in every route in the labyrinth like they did before. Now they know where to go, and they can guide you through it, and you can avoid all those mistakes they did in past before. And that's just like fast track your results, and really avoid all those unnecessary mistakes they did before, um, to make sure you get to your goal faster. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to put in the work on the way to get there. You still have to work hard. And I'm not a fan of like just hustle every day.
Yeah.
but I think like you have to put in the work to get there, and you can get coaches to avoid all those unnecessary mistakes they already made in the past. So that's for me the fastest way. But there's no uh, kind of teleportation from here to my goal by just taking a course, because you still have to get there.
Very well said. So speaking of fast tracking, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and get in touch with you and maybe potentially get you to write some copy for them so you can fast track their success with good copy, how would people find you and get in touch?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Facebook, so I think the best way would just contact me on Facebook. It's like facebook.com/ Marco Ankermann, and the Anchorman is with double N, which is pretty uncommon here in the US probably, but in Germany it's a normal thing to write man with double N. Yeah, you can just reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you and see if I can help you, or if I can refer you to someone of my network um, in terms of copy, or ask me any questions you have in terms of copy. And I'm also posting daily about copy, about marketing and business, so you can just read that and see if it's valuable for you. But yeah, like Facebook is probably the best way, Marco Ankermann, and you can just reach out to me there.
Perfect. Now we do have a question from the audience from Dwayne. He said, do you think that not going through the labyrinth makes it so you don't know how to handle the problems when they do arise?
So you mean not putting in the groundwork makes you not qualified to handle problems, or
I think what he means is like, if you do have a coach or somebody that's just kind of showing you the way, what happens when, because the coach is helping you avoid the same mistakes that they made. So would you say that it makes them unqualified or make them less prepared to handle problems? Because just us as humans, we're gonna naturally run into those problems sometimes. Would you say it would make them less prepared? Now, in my opinion, that's the whole purpose of having a coach, right? So if you hit roadblocks or you run into those problems, like I've run into problems like that with my clients where I've had people ask for chargebacks, or I've had people really upset and angry with me, and or maybe they're not upset and angry, we're just stuck on something and we can't figure it out. I'll reach out to my coach and they help me diffuse the situation, or they'll help me craft an email and explain why we're crafting it that way. And I even have them try to break down the like So this is what's going on from the end user. This is likely their perspective, and this is how I would handle those objections, right? And this is why I would handle them that way. So I would say that it wouldn't make them any less prepared, because if you have a good coach, they're going to help you get through those roadblocks. What about you?
Exactly. Like I think in this case, I think I can refer to like the mastermind effect, because the mastermind effect certainly says that by exchanging the knowledge of two people, like you get one idea to solve the problem faster than just one single brain that's working on the problem. So I think even though your coach doesn't haven't had handled this problem before, that doesn't make him unqualified for handling it now. Because together with you, and by just clarifying on what is the situation, what is the problem about, you're very likely to find the solution. And when two people like work on a problem, you get to the solution a lot faster than by just going through it yourself. So I think that that's a big thing. You have someone to talk to, someone that can help you, someone with also a lot of experience, even though it's not that particular problem, but it's other experience. So you can brainstorm about the problem, see how you can solve it the best way. And I think it's the fastest by doing it with your coach together than just brainstorming on your own.
Uh, do you have like any recommendations, or what are some of the best practices that you use to find a good coach or a good mentor?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think right now it's hard to get, like there's so many group coaching out there. I'm saying nothing against group coaching, but when you really want to up level, I think you always need a one-on-one coach. And when you find your one-on-one coach, and you're coachable, I think you will always find the right coach. This let me try to elaborate on this. So that's basically what Dan Locke always says. Like when the student is ready, the mentor will appear, which means that as soon as you're ready to have a personal mentor, it's likely that you're going to find it by just like networking. Um, so that's exactly how I did it. I have a one-on-one mentor. It's not official, but I'm working with him a lot, and he's teaching me copy 101 and giving me feedback. That's probably the most important part. But it was just by networking on Facebook, and I didn't try to find a mentor in this state, but I was probably ready to be mentored and to get to the next level. And I talked to him. He was a copywriter himself. He's writing copy still. He's not like 30 years in business, but he has some experience, and he has more experience than I have. So he's allowed to like teach me. And so essentially what we do is we just like brainstorm and see how we can solve any kind of problem that comes up. And okay, to refer back to the question, um, I think the first thing you need to try to do is to find a one-on-one mentor when you're ready. I think in the beginning group coaching is fine, but when you get to a certain point, you want to either go into a high-level mastermind, which is small and not 4,000 people, which is really like a small group of people that's originally really a mastermind by just brainstorming high-level people, including you, brainstorming about the same problem. um, Either you do masterminds or you try to get your one-on-one coach, and you do that by just doing your own research. I mean, see who's the expert in your niche, see who's even able to help you and get you to the next level, and then just reach out to them. I mean, like there's nothing wrong with them. Make connections with the experts in your industry, and if there's an opportunity to get mentored by someone, I would do anything to get this chance, because mentoring is something very, very big and important.
I agree 100%. Like every one of my mentors, I found through networking or found through working on other projects. But there have been times that, I've sought out specific courses or mentors, and I just happened to find them. Um, but what I was looking for was somebody that has succeeded in my space, right? Like you said, somebody in your niche. Like, I wouldn't just pick somebody that was famous or just really well known just because it was a famous coach, right? Because, like, for example, I don't do drop shipping. So if it was like Ryan Moran helps people build uh, highly profitable e-com stores to sell, and I'm like, well, I don't do that, so it'd be a waste of my time and money to hire somebody like them. It's not that he isn't a great coach, it's just that he's not the right one for me, right? So um, that was what made the difference for me. Is like, in the beginning, I was just buying courses and stuff because they were shiny toys and their copy talked me into it. And then after I burned some money and made some mistakes, I finally, when somebody would pitch me, I would go look up their profile and consume some of their content, maybe go to some of their free webinars or free masterclass trainings, or subscribe to their email list and see kind of like what they're all about. And then I would make my decision after that, like, okay, this person aligns with me and my goals and my core values. They've walked a similar path that I'm walking right now, so I'm gonna give them a shot. Now and then, when I started doing that, that's when it started working out better for me.
I think you're making a good point there. Choose someone that went through the same path as you want to go, and if they done the same thing as you, they're probably gone through the same mistakes, and they're probably able to teach you how to avoid those mistakes and get you to the next level faster.
So as we're wrapping up the show, before we get out of here, is there any like last minute things that you want to say to the audience before we let you go?
Yeah, just to wrap it up, because we were just talking about coaches and getting a coach, I think it's important that you, with everything else that you invest in, you always got to do your own due diligence. So as soon as you didn't do that, you're not allowed to make a logical decision on whether this is a good fit or not. So make your own research on that person, and if you see they are the good fit for you, then go for it. Give it a try. Don't think about it too much. But if they've been a different route, they've gone a different route, then like it's probably not the best person for you.
I agree 100%, guys. Well, this has been another episode of Big Marv's Network. Again, Marco, thank you so much for coming out. I know you're in Germany and it's after 3 a.m. for you, so I appreciate you getting up early to do this interview.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. Thank you very
guys,
much.
I dropped the link to his page in the comments. It's Marco Ankermann. That's Ankermann with 2 N's. You can find him on Facebook. Go ahead and check out his page. Give him a follow and shoot him a message if you want to check out what he can do for you and craft him a message for your brand. This is Big Marv. You guys tune in next Friday for another awesome episode of Big Marv's Network. One love.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.